Hey everyone, Zion over here from Nintendo Life, and we just got done watching the Animal Crossing New Horizons Nintendo Direct. And when I say me, of course, I don't just mean myself twice. John's here too.
Hey, I actually am a clone of Xeon though. He and I were part of the Keyblade Wars, and things got nasty.
It's Kingdom Hearts. Don't even be mad about it. It's fine. So how are you feeling, John? They announced a lot of stuff here.
They did. There's a ton of stuff in here. And I'll be completely honest, I love New Horizons when it came out, but I did fall off. And I think a big reason for that is because all the updates were very spread out, and they got to the point where they weren't doing anything. And now, it feels like they've given us all those updates that they were saving onto, and that they're just unleashing them all at once. There's so much here that I can't possibly remember most of it.
Well, good thing I can't either. And so so we have a little document here that we're going to try to kind of roll things back with and cover everything that happened, because so much of it just went straight over my head. It was like we didn't even have, like, John and I watched the direct together, and it was like we didn't even have time to talk about what was on screen, because it was like 10 seconds later there was something else new to look at. And not everything was even worth mentioning, really, to each other, but it did feel like it was like, gosh, slow down. But I guess also they didn't need to pull like a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and show us random things for longer than they needed. So maybe it was fine at the end of the day.
Yeah. It is surprising that this is the final free update, though. I would have, if I were in their shoes, I think I would have taken a quarter of this stuff and released it now, and then waited down the line and sort of released it a bit more sparingly. But I think they want everyone talking about all this new stuff. It feels like a relaunch with everything they've added here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially, aren't they calling this, is it the 2.0 update or something like that? Or
Yeah, I think so. And there is some really cool stuff in here. Like, it's not just like new fences and new furniture and all that stuff. Like, I love the idea of putting ladders around your island. Because, like, as soon as I got inclines and bridges, I stopped using the ladder in my inventory. I would just run around and find the nearest incline. But being able to put a ladder on a wall and just leave it there permanently, and vines too, like, that's awesome.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I didn't even really realize that that's what the vines did. I saw, like, somebody, like a villager at one point went and, like, picked them up, or the player character did. But yeah, that's incredible. I didn't realize that was really a thing. But yeah. It does feel like this update is, or these updates, I guess, if you will, because we're not entirely sure how it all is going to shake out exactly here. But it does feel like they're bringing in so many new things that I don't know. I guess I never would have expected them to do. So
yeah, there's a lot returning. I think most things players have wanted since the game launched are here now. A lot of missing characters, a lot of missing features like gyroids. Like it feels like they've just pulled it all out and then gone further than that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the first thing we got a real look at was Brewster's Cafe. They or the Roost rather, and it looks like your standard coffee shop, I guess, and but the cool thing is that you can now scan amiibo cards into the game, and you can have a character or a couple characters like come and hang out with you and be like a coffee date. And for me, I played Animal Crossing New Leaf on 3DS a lot, and especially like after the Welcome Amiibo update came in, and I felt like whenever I went, I think there was a chance that you could encounter a villager there at the coffee shop, but I feel like it never happened for me. And I loved going there and talking with Brewster, but having the ability to go and like hang out with some of my favorite villagers, or just pull like a random card out of the stack or out of the binder or whatever, that'll be just kind of like a nice thing, because I think it'll add a little more not realism, but it just it gives more purpose to the coffee shop rather than just the same old rinse repeat that we saw on the 3DS.
Totally, yeah. The Roost for me, I don't have like massive memories of hanging out with people there.
Yeah.
But when New Horizons came along though, like, even though I don't really have much attachment to the Roost, it felt like something was missing. And now it's just like, it's complete now. It's back.
Yeah.
You don't know what you have until it's gone.
That's totally true. I did notice too, so obviously we have the tables that are in the coffee shop. You can seat 4 people at each of them, and there's two sets of tables, so you can have 8 people total. or 4 sets of tables, I guess, if you want to count it that way. But the bar only has 3 seats. So if you have if you and anyone's out there, I've never double dated in Animal Crossing, but if that was a thing, someone's gonna have to stand at the counter or something like that, I guess.
That's such a good point. Like, you can use this for double dates. Like, people do have dates in Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
You totally could.
Yeah, I do remember hearing people do museum dates, especially, like they go show each other in their museum or whatever, just run around, take pictures and stuff. And for that, thinking about it in that way too, it's kind of cool that the roost is added onto the museum instead of its own place. But I am surprised there's no jukebox. I really was hoping there would be one, and but I guess maybe that would be hard to manage, or whose
Maybe.
music list are we pulling from? How is the game going to know that that it's that person's music and stuff? And I don't know, maybe more confusing.
I am skipping ahead here, but on the topic of dates, we can cook things now. Do you think people will cook meals in Animal Crossing for dates? Like, oh, I cooked you this wonderful pizza, my dear.
A lot of that went over my head because I think I was freaking out about something else beforehand. So what's the details with cooking so far from what you can see?
It's hard to say. They went over really quickly about it. It looks like you can cook, you can eat the stuff, which I guess would be like eating fruit on your island.
Okay.
I don't know if it's mostly for decoration or something, though. I guess you can give it to your villagers, and maybe they'll appreciate your cooking for them. But yeah, I'm a bit short on the details myself.
Sure. Like, I'm glad cooking is coming to Animal Crossing, but it feels different than, like, if they don't really give it a whole lot more purpose than that. I don't really know why it's here either. Because, like in cooking in like a farming simulator or something like Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons or Stardew or whatever, you cook meals because when you go to the mine or you want to go work on your farm more or whatever. But I guess Animal Crossing has always kind of been about the aesthetic and the relaxation portion of making things and customizing things and just enjoying it. And so I guess maybe it's fine that food doesn't give you much more energy than an apple or a pear or whatever. But
yeah. I forgot how good this game looks too. Like, it's been a while since I've jumped in, but this game's gorgeous. And seeing some of these meals, like they look tasty. I want to bite my Switch, and feast upon the nutrients.
If you bite your Switch, at least bite your old one, because
yeah. But the OLED one's gonna look a bit more appealing though. Like, look at the pizza pop.
That's true. So what else was there? Oh yeah, so I'm getting lost in the thought of food now. Cap'n is back now.
Yeah.
So basically, you'll be able to hop on a boat with Cap'n. I don't really know if he's always going to hang out on your pier or if he'll show up every so often. The details I'm looking at here doesn't really say, but it says that he'll take you to one of the remote islands on his boat. But those islands kind of just looked like more souped up, like more unique versions of the kind of mystery islands that you would go visit before, right? At least,
yeah, they look exactly like the ones the Dodo would take you to. I think the weather is more dynamic than those islands, and maybe there's new elements you can find in them or something. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure the distinction.
Does Cap'n take you to the new island by chance with all the cool people, Harv's Island, or was that the
Harv's Island was in a previous update, wasn't it? I think the Dodo would take you there, but this seems like way more expanded.
You're right, yeah. And so that's the cool thing too, is that so on Harv's Island we're getting, yeah, like you said, John, it's being expanded now, and there's tons of different characters that are coming back here. We get Harriet, which is the girl who cuts her hair. She'll be here, and she has some new hairstyles, I guess. I'm not sure if you'll only be able to get these new ones from her, though. I guess that would make sense, but it also feels kind of weird. Like, why wouldn't they just be added to your list? I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to give Harriet purpose, I guess, and meaning in life in the world of Animal Crossing still. I don't know, but...
Yeah. I'm so happy they've done this, though, because Harv's Island to me was somewhere I very rarely went to. So I know they added, like weddings and things they can do on Harv's Island, but I didn't really utilize that stuff. But making it more into... It's like a city now. It's like, let's go to the city where you can like have all these shops that you can go to. And that's rad. I'm gonna visit here way more often now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I never really went there often either. I think I don't even think I did the wedding DLC or the wedding season thing or whatever with Cyrus and I don't remember their names. I feel bad. I'm sorry, you guys. But yeah, it is really cool because we're getting Red has his own, like they all have trailers. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Red's here, Leaf's here, and I wonder if Red. So it says contribute bells to open shop. So I don't know if you donate money to them and then they'll eventually open up a store here on the island, maybe instead of just having like their RV here, which is also kind of cool actually. Now that I think about it, is that or this camper that they have here, maybe that's kind of like a throwback to Harv and his RV park days in New Leaf too.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think there were a couple other characters too, right? Like Katrina is going to be back, the fortune teller. Tortimer is around too, the mayor from the first few Animal Crossing games and the mini game
He's not
expert.
Dead.
Yeah,
He's alive.
Right, alive, and he actually. I want to go and compare his. I won't do it now, but he does look older. Now I'm now looking at a screen grab of him. Like his lips are super wrinkly, and his beard is gray. I don't remember him having a beard even actually, but.
Do you think there's like a timeline, like as new games release, time is actually progressing, and we can tell that by Tortimer?
I hope that is the case, but also if that's true, that means that Tortimer will die or he's a god and will live forever.
I think the latter. He's definitely a god. He's definitely a god.
Yeah,
it's just very cool to sort of have this spot that sort of compiles everything. Because with Red, I still struggle to get anything from Red.
Totally.
Whenever I boot it up, he's never there. So I love that there's a chance to just kind of consolidate everything.
Yeah, it is cool. You're right, because even like Sahara, I'm seeing, and Kicks are going to be there too, and I wonder if it'll be a slow build as well. Like maybe a character will come and you'll have to, donate a few bells to them or whatever, and then more will show up and more. Maybe it'll be kind of like a thing to incentivize people to come back. But yeah, that is like a really. I didn't even think about the city aspect that it kind of is. It's the city, but doing its own New Horizon spin on it instead. And so far, all this stuff that we've talked about so far is stuff that's going to be free in the 2.0 update as well, I believe. And so then they also talked about a bunch of just random things, I think, from this point on that are just coming to the game. Like, let's see here. So, there's group stretching, which is like a way to...
Finally!
Yeah, exactly. All these people have been wanting to move and strut their stuff with their Animal Crossing villagers. So you can have like, I don't know, all of your villagers hang out at the plaza and just stretch their legs, and you can do it in motion with the controls. So basically you won't need Ring Fit Adventure anymore. Now you have this rhythm. I don't even know if you would consider it fitness at all, but that's
it's
the thing.
neat that it's there though. Like,
yeah,
you always see your villagers sort of stretch in the morning, and now you can join them. And maybe it will help some people be healthy. You never know.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I will say, like, Animal Crossing, I think one of the coolest things about it is just like feeling connected with these, animal people that, you've invested your life, so much of your life with. And it is cool to see like a random little thing like that come to the game that we never would have. No one, I don't think maybe one person asked for that,
Yeah.
But so hopefully more stuff like that happens. But yeah, so then there's a bigger home storage as well.
I think the new camera is cool. I like the idea of being able to move around the island and get closer looks, because it is really cool that the camera app is there in the first place. I love taking pictures in this game, but being able to get much closer, much more versatile, is going to enable some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I wonder how much that tripod will extend, because it would be amazing if you could really just walk around your island in kind of like this first-person perspective. I know Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town allows you to do that, and it shows off a lot of flaws of the game's world, I suppose, if you will, in Story of Seasons. But it was just a lot of fun to just go explore your creations from this new angle. And
yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's so many new items. Gyroids, of course, are another part of this. I think Gyroid is something that's a bit like the Roost, where it's just something that's so integral to the series that it's weird that it's been missing until now, and it just feels done with it here.
Yeah.
And Gyroids look really diverse this time, and they've always been a bit diverse, but this time they feel like there's a lot more to them or of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, now you can put them on tables, and they're more compact, and And yeah, I don't know about you, but back in the day, I used to, when I would play Animal Crossing, I got to a point where I think maybe I just came far enough along with my fossil collection that I was always desperate to find more fossils. But whenever I dug up a gyroid, I just always felt a little salty. And it does feel like, now that they were, you don't know what you got until it's gone, sort of scenario here, where I just, you do start to miss them. And yeah, it is cool to see them come back in this new way. I want to point out too, I'll make sure to show this in the video, but there's the point where they're showing like all the gyroids around the room, and when you dig them up now, I think they were saying that you'll find like a broken one, and then you can rebury it and then water it to make it come back to life. But they show all these gyroids alive in the room, in this person's house, and then there's just a broken one sitting on the table, and it's very much like it's like having, I don't know, having a bunch of kids and like one of them was bad. So it's like you have to watch all the other kids have fun now.
One thing we are forgetting, there's a bunch of new items, but one stood out, and that's the gamer setup. The 5-screen gamer setup.
That's right. So unnecessary.
Yeah, there's just a lot in here. Like, I know we're missing a ton. Obviously we are. But there's so much that I think is really going to elevate the game to a new place. Like, if you feel like you've seen everything New Horizons has to offer, this gives you more than just quality of life stuff. Like, there's a lot of new items, and even the quality of life stuff, like being able to put a table next to a counter and squeeze through the gap, like that's so cool. That's really good stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. It does really feel like they've kind of, I mean, and Nintendo has the resources, hopefully, to workshop this game for that long, but it does kind of feel like they all just sat around and played it for 6 months, and they went, what else can we do to just make this game better? And we have so many new options in the game, so that's really exciting. I'm very excited to actually, like, it's tough to spend so much of your life playing Animal Crossing sometimes when you step back and look and be like, wow, I played it for that long, but I'm really excited to like dive back in after all this.
Yeah, and November 5th it comes out in around 2 weeks, a bit longer than, well, yeah, around 2 weeks.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and it's the last major update, which I mean they are like they're putting a lot in here, and I'm not left saying like, oh, you missed this, you missed this, you missed this. I feel like they've done everything they can. All I want is Puzzle League, and I know it's not going to come. I guess it could come in like future paid DLC maybe. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Puzzle League was so cool in New Leaf that barely anyone even knew it was in there. Like, you talk to people and say, "Hey, did you play New Leaf?" And they'll say, "What are you talking?" They say, "Did you play Puzzle League?" And they'll say, "What are you talking about?" Because you got it in the Welcome Amiibo update, and you needed a 3DS item which comes through like fortune cookies. So it's a low chance you even get it. But the fact that it's in there was really cool. So maybe there's a chance they'll actually put it in paid in the future. But just as a whole, though, I'm not left thinking, like, I don't think there's any big gaping holes in here. I think they've kind of filled everything that they could have done for Animal Crossing. Yeah,
I agree. And I think you still can hold on to that hope that Puzzle League will come someday. I think it, like,
maybe
not, but I mean they've done it in the past, and this update already brought over so many features from New Leaf that, I mean, hopefully Nintendo just has like a list of all the things that New Leaf has done, and next time they do a paid update, which we'll talk about that in just a second, but maybe next time they do a paid update, they'll look at their list and they'll go, yeah, I guess we can make John happy today.
Yeah. If they actually did like a proper, fully fledged Puzzle League, like competitive with online, I think that would justify being paid.
Yeah. And this, I mean, if they're gonna do a new Puzzle League game of any kind, I know it would be wonderful to have just a standard panel, game on Switch or whatever. But Animal Crossing is a great way to make everyone happy in that regard. But
more people will play. If you release Pound Upon on the eShop, you'll get me and 10 other people playing. If you put an Animal Crossing, that's already like thousands.
That's not true. Nintendo, if you're listening, that's not true. Everyone will buy.
True. Everyone will buy it if you put it on the eShop. No, I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, he's just tired. Long day. Yeah. So then they also announced the Happy Home Paradise DLC, which I at first felt really miffed about, because I didn't understand. Like, I didn't play Happy Home Designer much on 3DS. I think I played it for a half an hour and moved on, went back to New Leaf. But you kind of showed me this kind of good perspective with it, John, that it's kind of giving this game, like you're incorporating the two things together, and it kind of gives it more purpose in a way it works, right?
Yeah, it's consolidated. Like, yeah, New Leaf and Happy Home Designer, I think they had compatibility, but they weren't, like, they were two separate packages. And including them in just one big one, I think adds value to both in a way better way. Like, it's no longer living up to be a lesser spin-off, because it's part of the main game now. And it adds purpose, adds objectives to the main game, while also complementing it with new items and new things to do. So I feel like this is the best way to do it, and I'm really glad this wasn't like its own package. I think it makes way more sense to be DLC.
Yeah, and it's always been interesting, because Animal Crossing has been the kind of game where I don't want to say that it doesn't have purpose, but it doesn't always have like a lot of direction. You have like your museum that you're always trying to tackle, like collect everything, and I guess New Horizons sort of has a story, if you will, because I guess you're building it up for a while, and your goal is to get KK Slider to come to the island, and then he does, and I guess anybody who's watching this probably has already done that by now. But the credits roll, and then yay, the
finish the game.
Yeah, you're done forever. No, but yeah, now we kind of have this this kind of campaign to follow, and the way that the game is framing is that you have a job that you need to go do, and you hop on a Dodo Airlines plane and you fly off to this island where you make and you design houses for all of these villagers. That I can't tell if there are people that are like already on your island and they have like vacation homes, or if it's going to be like a brand new set of villagers that you're making houses for. I don't. Did you catch any of how that's supposed to work at all, John?
Yes, I think it's any villager, really. I don't know if it's ones that are on your island. It seems like anyone can go there, and you just kind of design what they want, but in your own way. And there's some really cool new stuff in there, and it looks like a lot of the new elements are exclusive to those who have the DLC. So I think like the pillars and partition walls, I think you have to have the DLC to get access to them. And that's easy to complain about. It's easy to say, oh god, they're putting stuff behind the DLC. But they're already giving us so much free stuff that it feels justified to have something premium in the DLC.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah, and I guess I look at Animal Crossing kind of like an MMO in a way, like a Final Fantasy XIV, or just I guess anything of that nature. I know it's not the same thing, but the amount of updates that they are bringing in the 2.0 update for free really are fairly massive, and I suppose lots of people are paying for Nintendo Switch Online because of Animal Crossing, and specifically for Animal Crossing. And so maybe some might argue that Nintendo has the money to spend on this free update, in a way. Maybe they don't need to charge for this other pack, but it is the Happy Home pack is bringing over quite a bit of cool stuff. I did just read here too that you're right. You can use Amiibo to invite other villagers to come to this other island to have a vacation home designed for them. So so you'll be able to kind of pick and choose who you want, but maybe it'll be kind of just like a second island for yourself as well, where you can't have a home for yourself maybe, but you can have like another rotation of villagers to hang out with.
And we saw too that you can design a restaurant and like a hospital and things like that. And one thing I think is really cool about this idea is, I don't know about you, but when I design my own house, I don't tend to redesign it much. Like I'll design it, maybe I'll see like a cool piece of furniture and move things around to suit that. But usually I'll design it and then that's it. That's my house. So I think it's cool to be able to have a fresh slate and like redesign from scratch and just focus on the design aspect while just being happy with your own home. I think that's a really cool idea, just to unleash your designs without diminishing what you've already done.
Yeah, and that's a good point too about, like, you brought up the fact that something as simple as like pillars being added into the game and like extra partition walls or wall partitions, however that's supposed to be said. I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor, but or a house surgeon rather. But it sounds like too from what I'm reading here too is that you'll learn those techniques on this paradise planning job, and then you'll be able to bring those ideas back to your main island too. And it's cool because Animal Crossing the rooms have always been kind of the same. They've been like squares or rectangles, and you can have upstairs and downstairs, and but now you can actually like you can turn one into a you can split it in half and have like half be a kitchen, or you could make a bathroom with like a bunch of stalls, or I don't know. You could just do the extra partition walls add so much to the game, and it's something that like if you would have asked like you and I to make a list of 100 different things maybe that we would have wanted to see added to the game, I don't think extra walls would have been on the list, but it's cool that it's there.
We didn't know that we wanted this, but it's great that we got it.
Yeah.
I think this is just a really cool piece of DLC, and like Happy Home Designer, I wasn't massive on, but I think I'm much more into it being part of New Horizons. And it's cool to get different personalities of the villagers too, because we already know a lot of them ourselves. But and like you go to a villager's house, and their house is designed to be their personality, but now we're trying to design for their personality. It's like a new way of learning who they are, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I did like too about Happy Home Designer was that you're right. You're getting in touch. You're getting to know these villagers, maybe not better, but like on a different level, and it's more intimate, I guess, if you will, like not in a weird way, just a very it's more personal, I suppose. And and just being able to have this like catalog of items to quickly customize their homes with it's fun. And it gives the cards more purpose now too, now that I think about it, which makes sense as to why maybe Nintendo has been recently re-releasing these cards. I don't know for certain that you could walk into a local Target here in the U.S. right now, but over the past few months, I've walked in from time to time and found cards on the shelf again, the Amiibo cards. And the other thing too that Nintendo announced is that a Series 5 set of Amiibo cards is coming out, and unfortunately, it isn't going to be kind of like a mashup of the RV cards like I was hoping. It's only going to be a 48 card set, which is much smaller in comparison. All of the other sets were 100. The RV set was 50, but forget that right now. But the cool thing is that the set is bringing over cards of I think Raymond is in there, the cat person that everybody loses their mind about and wants to trade for real world dollars, and poor cat. But there's also some new villagers in there as well, which I should have screenshotted that to like send so we could actually like look at them and talk about them. But there's
so much in there.
Yeah.
There's so many parts of this direct where you blink and you'll miss it. Like Froggy Chair was in this direct.
You're right.
And the chat was blowing up. Like when Froggy Chair appeared, and then like 10 minutes later, people in the chat were still talking about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, even I forgot. I didn't notice it right away either. But like the lighting, there were points in the direct where or a point maybe where somebody was moving like a lamp up above, I think you were saying, and the lighting was like changing in the room based on where the lamp actually was, and so many little like small details like that are really kind of beefing this up.
There was one moment too where there was a lava lamp, and you could change the color that it was emitting, so that you could make it go from purple to like green. That's a really cool thing too, and it makes the room.
Dang, with RGB lava lamps.
Yeah, like the room illuminates that color. It's a really, really cool touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really satisfied with this. Like I was expecting, the Roost. They teased that. I wasn't expecting this much though. There's so much in there that you can't even digest it all. Like I feel like this is the kind of stuff that's going to let us ride along on Animal Crossing for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, I think this is the energy the game needed. Their second burst of life.
So the interesting thing too is that I think, correct me if I'm wrong on this, John, too, but I think they said that the 2.0 update is going to be the last free update for the game. And then the Happy Home Paradise DLC pack is supposed to be $25 US. Do you know what it was in the UK too? Is it comparable, or?
So in pounds, it'd be £22.49. So it's not much different to $25. Which I think is fairly reasonable. Like Happy Home Designer as a standalone game, I think it was budget on 3DS. That might have been like £30 or something. But it's around the same price. And I think this makes way more sense as a package. It sounds expensive for DLC, but I think if this has the value of a full-on spin-off like Happy Home Designer kind of did, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I think you're right too, that this, you can look at it from the perspective that none of these things I think will be detrimental to your Animal Crossing experience either. Like if you want to go and customize a bunch of homes, and I suppose there are the new techniques and things that you'll learn by only having the DLC. It sounds like the paid DLC. But if you don't want to mess with the homes, the new island portion, then don't even worry about it. You can just keep playing Animal Crossing fine, and you still have this monumental free update pack coming your way. And sure, it would be nice if Nintendo updated it all for free, but they've given us so much already in the free update pack that you can have your cake and you can eat it, and if you want to have more cake, you can buy that, and then you can just have more.
Yeah. And we'll get into this in a separate chat, but it's also part of the expansion pass for Nintendo Switch Online, which is interesting, because I guess it's yearly, of course, but if you are just going to go for the expansion pass, you pretty much cover the cost of this DLC with that yearly subscription. I think Nintendo have a lot of communicating to do to show that it's worth that amount every year, but I think if you just want to try the DLC this year, and you want to get N64 games and Genesis games, then it makes sense, I feel. But then again, we don't know if you own the DLC forever. Like, if you unsub, what happens?
Because, yeah, we were wondering, yeah, like, if you have the DLC, the expansion pack, right, and which gives you access to the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, it gives you access to the Happy Home Paradise DLC. And let's say you learn some of these techniques, like being able to add walls to your house, and then you go back home and you put a wall in your house, and then a year passes and you no longer have the DLC. What happens to that wall in your house? Is that something that your character has learned now and they will remember forever? Which I hope that is the case. That would make sense, I think. But and then maybe you just can't go back to your vacation island to visit those people anymore. I don't know. That sounds devastating though to some people.
I think that's the best compromise. Like, I bet you keep everything you unlock and earn, but you probably lose access to the jobs, like just the Happy Home Designer element. I think that's probably what's going to happen.
That would make sense. But yeah, it is weird too, because is this... We can talk about this more in the expansion pack video that we're going to do, but I wonder if this is going to set a precedent for Nintendo going forward as well. Like, are they going to... Every year, are they going to release a big expansion pack for one of their games and then throw it into the expansion pack bundle as well? Because that would kind of add, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I should just save this for the expansion pack chat, but this Happy Home DLC is kind of like an expansion pack for Animal Crossing, and maybe that's why they called it that. I'm gonna shut my mouth though, because that sounds like more fun to talk about. Yeah.
There's a lot to be excited about, I feel. This was a really good showcase, and I do feel like this is gonna reboot Animal Crossing.
I'm excited to lose more of my life to this game, because there's so many more things that we didn't even get to talk about that I'm reading in this email, and I'm not going to talk about them because we have talked so much already, and it's been good, but I'm pretty impressed. There were lots of things I think that I wanted out of this Direct that I didn't get, but after seeing all this, I'm not even thinking about the things that I didn't get. It's like I got a different present for Christmas, and it's still okay. But of course, feel free to let us know in the comments down below how you feel about the Animal Crossing Direct. Let us know if there's anything that really piqued your interest, that made you want to get back into the game, or if you have any situations that you want to incorporate any of this new stuff in. Let us know down below. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this, then why don't you go ahead and release a free update for that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we put up a new video. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, John, for coming on and chatting with me about this. And we will see you all next time. Oh, and stay safe, too. I forget. I always say that.
Where the frick was Puzzle League?
I wish we had just that tiny bit of you on video that we could just throw that at the end. Like, no on camera the whole time. And then just that at the end.